Morrisville, and I wanted something warm for dinner. So I've decided that we are going to have clam chowder and cornbread for dinner tonight. So growing up on the coast, clams always came fresh out of the water. They were hard to clean. You had to take them out of the shell. You had to clean the insides out of them, and then you had to chop them finely, or not too fine, but it was a process. So one day we went down to the coast to visit with my daddy and his stepmom, and they were making clam chowder. And I said, Virginia, where did you get your clams from? And she said, well, lately I've had a hard time getting clams, and this is what I found, and we like it, and this is what we're using. So I ate their clam chowder and loved it, and this is how I make clam chowder when I get ready for it in Morrisville. So you have to go and you have to buy these. It's called Bumblebee Minced Clams. And believe you me, this takes a lot of work out of the process of having to deal with clams that freshly came out of the water. You do not drain these. You simply, as you can see, I have 4 cans. But I also purchased something else which is essential, and this is the all-natural clam juice. And if you want them to taste like they've just come fresh out of the water, you have to buy these things. So what I'm getting ready to do now is getting ready to make how I grew up eating it, Down East clam chowder. Now Down East clam chowder is not New England clam chowder. It's not Manhattan clam chowder. It is Down East clam chowder. And it's the way I was raised, and it's what I love, and this is the way we make it. So I'm simply going to do the following. I'm going to dice onion. I'm going to dice it fairly small. And then I am going to place it in this pot over here with Crisco oil. And you say, why are you using oil? Well, because if you put bacon in something, it usually ends up tasting like bacon. And I don't want it to have a bacon flavor. I'm not going to use streak of lean, streak of fat meat like my grandmother did. That I will not do that. But I will take and put Crisco oil on the bottom of the pan. I'm going to put diced onion in there, and then I'm going to soften the onion, and then I will add these clams and this juice. And once I do all that, I will show that to you, and then I'm going to just let it cook for probably an hour on its own. So I'm going to get started with this process, and I'll bring you along in just a second. Okay, so I've gone ahead and taken the peeling off of the onion, and I've sliced them in half. But as you can see, I've left the root of the onion on. And the reason that I've left the root on is after spending years of dicing onions and having them fall apart while I was trying to dice them, that was really aggravating to me. So if you keep the root on, it's very simple. You just come in here and make some slices like this. And then you cut it like this. The onion stays intact. You take it off. And then you can come back with a larger knife and get it in the exact size that you want. So I will chop it up. Then what I'm going to do, the portion I don't use, I'm just going to simply put it in a Ziploc bag and slip it in the freezer. That's what I do. And then later on, if I have a recipe that needs onion, I just pull it out and use it. So if I remember that it's in there. So that way it will not go to waste. But this has just been what I do, and it works best for me. So I'm going to use probably about I wouldn't even say half of this much onion, but I'm going to put it in the pot right now. So I'm going to slip over to the stove, and I'll show you how this is done, or how I do it. So I'm going to come in, and I'm going to turn my heat on to probably medium. I'd like to warm the pot up first and then turn it down. I'm going to eyeball this. So I'm going to put in about, I would say, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. That looks about right. Can you see inside? About 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. So now what I'm going to do, I guess for measurement purposes, I'll go ahead and measure this. But I guess I'm going to put in, let's see, once I put it in the bottom of the pot, I'll see. Yeah, that looks about right. So that was just a heaping half cup of onion. So the rest of this, I'm eventually going to get it in the freezer. So I'm just going to take this onion, spread it out in this oil. And what I want it to do is tenderize. I want it to just, and it will in just a few minutes. So we'll come back to this. I'm going to leave this right now, stir it around a little bit, let the pot warm up, get it tender, and I'll bring it back and show you what it looks like. The onions are pretty much ready. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add just a tad bit of butter. So I did not want to put the butter in earlier because I know that butter has a tendency to burn, and I did not want that to happen, but I want the flavor of the butter, and as you can see, I just put a little amount, not very much at all. So the next thing that I'm going to do after this is I'm going to add the cans of clams. So this is the amount of stock or clam juice that you have in the clam. I think it would probably be interesting to see how much clam we actually have. So let me pour some of this out. So this is the amount of clam that I have in this can, and I'm going to be using 4 cans. But tonight it's just going to be Nelson and I that are eating, and so it'll be plenty for the 2 of us. So come here and see what 1 can looks like. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead, put the rest of these clams in this pot, and you don't need to watch that, but I'll get it done in just a second, and you can come right back. Okay, so now I'm getting ready to add the last can of chopped clams to this mixture. And the next thing you do is you want to make sure that you add clam juice. And I'm going to choose, I chose 2 bottles. As you can hear that pop, that means it's good, fresh, ready to go. So here's 1. Here's the second one. You have some of the stuff settles to the bottom, so you need to shake it up a little bit. This is the trick right here. If you do not have this clam juice, it will not turn out right. So if you're going to go the route that I am to make clam chowder in Morrisville, North Carolina, and you do not have fresh clams, when you buy your clams, always buy this. They're side by side on the shelf. Also, too, another thing I meant to say earlier, my grandmama always taught me this. She said, never open up a can of anything until you clean the top of it first. So you did not see me open these cans, but when I opened them, I made sure that I cleaned the top of the can first and opened it up. And it's just something we really do. And now more than ever, with all the crazy that's taking place in our world today. So as you can see, this is what I have. There will not be any water added to this. This is clam juice, clams in the juice that was in the can, and this is what I have. So now what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to put the lid on the pot. I'm going to bring it up to about a 6, which is medium heat. I'm going to let it come to a full boil. Maybe I'll put it even higher. 7, bring it to a full boil, and then I'm going to reduce the heat and let it just simmer. And it's probably going to simmer for about an hour. I'm going to test the clams, see if they're tender. When they start to get tender, then I'm going to peel and cube the potatoes, and I always use Yukon Gold. They are awesome. You can't find them everywhere. I can only find them in Morrisville at Harris Teeter, but they're always at Harris Teeter. And so those are the potatoes that I will be peeling. When I get that done, I will show you the size that I'm going to add to the pot of just the clams. So I will see you in about an hour and a half. So I have cooked the clams. They are tender and they are ready for me to add the potatoes. These are about 4 medium Yukon Gold potatoes, and I've chopped them in this size cubes. I'm going to increase the temperature, bring it to a boil, and cook this some more until the potatoes are tender. So we will be back in probably about 15 minutes. Okay, the clam chowder has cooked down, and the potatoes are tender, and we are ready to dish it up and have dinner. So if you can find this stuff at any local grocery store, you can have clam chowder, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed.